You're listening to Media Automated. Join us as we explore the intersection between self-improvement and business excellence, showing you the strategies that will help you take your message, your brand, and your podcast to the next level. Let's begin. You avoid the pit. This is Bryce Prescott. You're listening to Media Automated, where self-improvement meets business excellence. And today's topic, today's problem that I wanted to discuss with you is that you avoid the pit. Now, I'm going to go into detail on what that means and describe what the pit is, because in the self-development world, in the business world, there's a couple of different ways that we could assess what the pit is. But before we get into that, I wanted to just very quickly say thank you. The episode that you're watching or listening to right now is episode 6 of this podcast, and it's been incredibly well received. I've got some impactful feedback that is being incorporated into the production of the show. I love the idea of where we're growing, because I have a desire inside of me to take the experiences and the things that I've learned and the achievements that I've had and the ways that I've failed even, and help you as a listener and viewer to collapse time and to avoid the things that I went through. See, as a business owner and as somebody that does what you do, which is put yourself out there, puts a product or service out there for people to decide whether or not they want to buy it, and then you build an entire organization and business around that thing, that product, that service, that feeling. You're doing it. And it's rough, man. It has its benefits, and there's definitely a reason that you do it, but it's rough. And I want to acknowledge you for giving me the time of day and listening to these podcasts, sharing them with your friends and associates that might be able to be helped as well. I see you. I understand what you're going through, and my heart is here, and my efforts are here for that reason. I want to make it so that it's easier for you guys to succeed, easier for you as a listener and viewer of this show to apply the things that we talk about in your businesses, in your lives, and make a difference for yourself and for those that basically need you and your product or service. So let's get talking about the pit, okay? And why you avoid it. See, there's this moment that every single one of us have had where we have felt inspiration on some level. We wanted to do something new or different. We wanted to try something that we've never tried before. We wanted to put ourselves out there because we can see a return. We can see a reward that looks amazing. With your permission, I'm going to use my efforts in stand-up comedy as a way to really highlight and magnify this idea of the pit. When I first tried doing stand-up, I was scared out of my mind. I had watched this documentary called The Zen Diaries of Garry Shandling, which was about the famous comedian and actor Garry Shandling. And it showed his life, and it showed his interests, and it showed his friends and his culture and the things that were important to him, the things that he did that were noteworthy, the way that he was a pioneer in television. There was this incredible man, and that entire career that he had started from a moment when he just wanted to go on stage and tell jokes. Now, myself, I've always wanted that from the time that I was a small child. I enjoyed making people laugh. But as I got into business, I found myself in a crux of sorts, because it didn't seem like that side of my personality was very welcome. I didn't know how to be a successful entrepreneur that ran a dynamic business that offered an incredible product and service to the public and go into dark rooms and tell dick jokes to strangers. I didn't know how to bridge those two things. Well, I watched this documentary about Garry Shandling, and I saw what he was. He was a different colored apple on the same tree as what I am, in that he cares about things like your mindset. He was a practicing Buddhist, and so peacefulness and meditation was important to him. Those things are important to me. I saw him bridge those two things, and I had a conversation with a coach of mine at the time saying, how do I do this? And laughably, the response that I got back from my coach is, you just do. Just be yourself, go out there, try it, fail openly, fail honorably, just do it and let the cards fall where they may. You, Bryce, will be happier if you do this. So that's what I did. I went to the comedy club here locally in Salt Lake City called Wise Guys Comedy Club, and I watched an open mic first. I didn't perform. I watched an open mic. I started to get the rhythm of it, started to get a little bit of the jitters to go away. I wrote some material, and I went back in early April several years ago, and I tried stand-up for the first time. Now, what happened to me in the process of those weeks, it has happened to everyone when they've tried something new. There was excitement. There was fear. There was hope that this thing that I wanted to do, I might actually be good at it, or I might be able to become great at it. But there's that moment, and every single one of you have had that, whether it was that you started your business. I know, for example, my spouse, she had a similar moment when she decided to become a certified Pilates instructor and to start and open her own studio. There's this moment of excitement. You're like, I guess I'm doing it. You, as a viewer and listener of this show, you've had that same moment in some aspect of your life where it was new and exciting and you were scared and you made the leap. You jumped. And it was like that moment when you first learned to ride a bike without training wheels and you're wobbly and then you get some momentum and you're going. But the pit is what comes next. See, when you start out doing something, whether it's in your business or in your life, a new interest, a new hobby, that excitement and fear at the beginning will change. It will shift. And you'll realize that you've learned enough skill to continue trying, but you are completely inadequate at that skill. I know for business owners, when you have an idea for a great product or a great service, and you go through the motions and you do the steps to start the business, to put it out there, to sell it, to write marketing, to get that thing that you're so passionate about out in front of other people, once you do that, that's when the rubber hits the road. That's when sales come in or they don't. That's where you realize, oh, maybe my marketing copy kind of sucked. Oh, maybe my team or doing this on my own isn't the way to do it. And you have to go through the excruciating efforts of growing and expanding. Well, the pit is that middle part. You set your goal, whether it's to be a 7 or 8 figure business, or for me in comedy, it was to be a headlining famous comedian that the public knew as a hilarious dude. I had this idea. I wanted it out there. That's where I wanted to go. But I was still here at the beginning. And when I got into the pit, it scared the hell out of me because I didn't know how long that pit was going to be. Because when you're in the pit, there's a reality that you have to acknowledge. And the reality is that when you're in the pit, when you're in the growth phase, when you're in the learning phase, you're gaining skill sets, you're trying things and you're failing, but you're failing forward. The return on your efforts isn't as much as the effort. It's actually a diminishing investment at that time. Because as you grow and learn, you're growing and learning what you don't know that you didn't know. In business, you're realizing, oh, I messed up over here. Maybe I should have hired a bookkeeper here. My taxes are going to be a mess now because I did this. I don't know how to get out of this. I need to hire people, but I'm scared because of my cash flow. You have every thought in the world about how easy it is when you're in the pit to fail. And it sucks. But you're doing it. You're taking action. You're doing it. I know for me, again, talking about my comedy career, what that meant for me is going to every open mic that I could. Anytime there was whether it would be at a bar or a comedy club, whatever it was, I would go there and I would take my licks. I would go up in front of strangers, not having a good skill set of telling jokes in front of people, and I would try, and I would bomb, and nobody would laugh, and I would feel stupid and unfunny, and I would wonder, why am I doing this? What am I putting myself through? Why? But I would keep going, because every now and then, I'd get a really big laugh. Every now and then I'd get an applause break on one of my jokes that surprised me, like, wow, that really hit. The crowd liked that. And that would fill me up just enough to go back in and try it again and to fail again and to try again and to fail again. You are in the middle of this in some way, I guarantee. You are trying and you are failing, but yet you are having wins along the way that keep you going. And it's a beautiful thing. But let's be real about what the pit is. The pit snatches your soul. It fucking sucks because you oftentimes don't get what you need out of that. And so you are then left in a depleted position where you need to rely on your friends or your community or your family to allow you to be filled up. Where you do the work on yourself, you set goals, you meditate, you handle the inner dialogue of success with yourself, but you still need more. You're in the pit, and the pit is brutal because it's a consistent reminder of what you aren't. You are working towards something to which you haven't achieved yet, and you're reminded at every step of the way, gosh, I'm not that good yet. I'm not that good yet. What am I doing? Well, then this thing happens, and you get out of the pit. You succeed in growing your skill sets, whether it's in business or in a hobby or whatnot. You succeed enough to where now you get more out of it than you are having to put into it. In business, what that means is you start stringing together consecutive months of growth and profit. You start seeing returns and reward in the team that you're building, and you're able to allow yourself to step away from the business and get more of your life back because you've created the proper support with those around you. I know for me in comedy, what it meant was I started getting opening spots. I opened for famous comedians. My very first opening gig was in front of a wonderfully hilarious female comic named Miss Pat. And then I got to meet and host when Brian Callen came to town. And then I got to meet and host when Andrew Scholes came to town. And I got to associate with all these high-level, hilarious, famous comedians. And when I was going in front of those crowds, I was doing really well. I was starting to get the hang of it more, and it was starting to be rewarding more. For me, what it meant in my media automated business is it meant that I started to have increased money come to me. Every month, I would get new clients, and those clients would be happy and stoked about what we're doing, and we'd have more and more recurring revenue. We'd have more and more sales, and I was getting myself into positions, both financially and with my time, that were incredible. I got out of the pit for a moment. But the ruse and why we avoid the pit is that the pit actually comes back. Because as you might have heard people say, new levels, new devils. Sometimes it's the same devils, just in a different form. See, when you get to a certain level, you have to go into the pit again, or you will remain stagnant and you will taper off. Because growth is a constant commitment. Success in business, in your mindset, in your pursuits is a constant pursuit. If you do not continually grow and commit to that path, commit to the pit, you will fail. And that's what I wanted to talk about is like you are scared of the pit. We avoid the pit. We do things to sabotage ourselves. If I may, let me just be candid in a way that I don't know, I didn't know if I was going to do this today, but I'm going to do it anyway. In my comedy career, what happened was I started headlining. I got out of the pit. It started becoming easier for me to do stand-up, and I was doing it in front of my crowds where it was me as the headliner. My name was on the marquee. People buying tickets were buying tickets to see me. And I headlined several times in several locations all across the United States. And it became fun, and it became amazing, and when I would get off stage, I would feel like $1,000,000. I would feel famous. I would feel respected. I would feel like everybody thought I was funny. I would feel rewarded for all of the hard work. And I could look back in retrospect at every time I'd bombed at an open mic and all the hard things I'd done and how bad it sucked. And I would feel in a moment like it was worth it. Well, here I am, having reached that level. And I know now I've got another level I'm trying to achieve, which is being able to support myself more with comedy and being more active and being seen more and to grow to the next level in comedy. And I'm scared to death of the pit. I haven't done stand-up comedy in 3 months because I have come to really not like the process of going to open mic, trying new material, having it suck, not getting laughs, and feeling because of the position that I'm in as somebody that's headlined several times that I'm better than that. And so what's happened is I've removed myself. I've sabotaged my growth because of that. Now, the beautiful thing is that I see it and I understand what I'm doing. And I'm avoiding that now as I do the things in my business, in this business, media automated, to provide better service. But there's something in there that you're doing as well. I don't know what level you're at. Maybe you passed the 5-figure monthly mark. Maybe you're well into 6 figures a month or beyond. But there's something at the next level to which you are just uncertain about reaching for it. And the reality is because you know that you're going to be back in the pit. And that pit sucks. It's really, really difficult to be in the pit. So what do we do about it? What happens then if you decide to stay out of the pit and just to kind of hang out where you're at and to be that guy and things are good, status quo, we're just doing what we're doing? There's a couple of really important things that I want you to know will happen to you if you do not put yourself back in that position to grow to your next level. The first thing that'll happen is you'll become depressed. Like emotionally, psychologically, you will feel depression come in. See, as humans, we have to always be reaching for the next level. We have to put ourselves in position to grow, because if we're not in a position to grow, we are actually stagnating and we are slowly withering. Our skill sets decline. Our ambition declines. And because of that, our hearts and our souls and our minds, we don't like it. And the way that it manifests is we will feel depression. We will feel cloudy on sunny days. We will feel like we're unseen and unheard. We will have a lot more heartache in our day-to-day simply because we're trying to avoid the pit. Because we're projecting into that future knowing, it's going to suck. I'm going to have to deal with this. I don't want to deal with it. We are basically paying installments on a daily basis of feeling depression instead of getting into the pit and working through it, because you will always get out of the pit if you're committed to finishing the job. Now, I want you to consider that. You're going to feel discomfort at some level, regardless. You're going to feel challenge at some level. So you have two choices. You have one choice to where you avoid the pit and you allow yourself to self-sabotage out of the state and out of the feeling of just the status quo is fine. I don't need to do this. We're all good. But yet what you'll experience is you'll be depressed. You'll feel weaker. You'll feel irrelevant. You'll feel jealous as you see other people, sometimes competitors even in your own space, do better than you because you haven't committed to the daily move towards growth and success. You are sitting still and it's not helping. So the other choice you can make is to get very, very clear about the specifics of what you want outside of the pit. What is the reward you're seeking? Is it 7 figures annually? Is it a certain level of market share? Is it becoming great at a new skill set that allows you to feel a certain thing about yourself and to be in a better position emotionally with you? Whatever it is, you have to be very clear about where you are wanting to take your life, your business, your efforts. And when you get clear about what that result is, understand it from every aspect, every sensory option that exists for you. Know what it would look like for you to be at that level. Know what it would smell like. Know what it would taste like. Know what it would feel like. Be in that place where you can quite literally view it, see it, experience it in real-time point of view inside of your head and heart. And then once you do that and you get clear on where you're going, start from today and take the steps necessary to get there. Reverse engineer what it means to get there. Because what happens when you do that, even though you will have times in the pit that suck, where you feel depleted, where you feel moments of depression, where you feel alone, where you feel irrelevant, you still are getting wins, and yet you know where it's taking you because you've been there before. We've all been through the pit. Our fear of the pit comes only after we've been in the pit before. We don't know. We have zero desire to go back to that shitty place because of how hard it was. And that's where we get to do the work. We get to overcome the reality that what we're scared of is a boogeyman. Because as you get better in your skill sets and in your mindsets and you're more proficient and efficient, the pit isn't as bad. We anticipate the pain far more then the pain actually affects us. And that's where we have a problem. So as I think about ways to offer solutions for you to overcome this, I know that I can't solve this problem on a podcast, but what I can do is this. If what I've shared with you today resonates and you feel a connection to this idea that you are avoiding the pit, whatever that is for your business, for your career, for your interest, whatever it is, if you're avoiding it, I just want you, as something that would help serve you and be beneficial to you, I want you to acknowledge it to yourself. I want you to look at your business, your hobbies, your career, whatever it is, and I want you to acknowledge, you know what? I'm not doing what I need to. I am scared of that pit. In that pit, there's all sorts of alligators and snakes and danger. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself. And so if you can at least acknowledge that and pinpoint where it is that you're holding back, and then reacquaint yourself with the end result that you want and give yourself a target to work toward, I guarantee you a lot of these things will go away. The feelings of depression, the feelings of fear, the feelings of irrelevance. You see, purpose is found in the pursuit. Purpose is found when we pursue the things that we want. And when we understand what we want, it usually comes from a place of significance. Now, even though I love telling jokes to strangers in a dark room, the significance that I get out of that for myself is that I get to stand with my head held high every time I slide that microphone back into the stand before I leave the stage after doing a set. And I know I tried. I can know that my kids see their dad going out doing hard things, and it makes it more easy for them to know that they can do it too. I see in myself a willingness to reach for higher heights. And this is all translatable to you and your experiences too. So what I want you to do is, if you find, like I said, we can't fix this on a podcast, but I want you to at least acknowledge to yourself where you're not pushing yourself. There's going to be freedom in that moment, because at least then you just dispel all the universe juice and the froofy, like I'm all law of attraction stuff. And you're just like, well, this is my reality. I am not doing these things. And so I don't get to take credit for work I haven't done. Success and growth don't just magically happen. They take attention, intention, and choice. And so I encourage you to get real with yourself about that. Now, as I wrap up this episode, I want to ask something of you. If what I've shared here has resonated, and you felt the connection to these words, and you know that there's things that you've been doing that you need to overcome, and that you need to put the foot back on the gas in a lot of ways, you get clear about where you want to take your business, yourself, your hobbies, your whatever. If I've hit that mark and I've poked your soul in a way that makes you feel inspired to take action, I would ask just one small thing from you. Please share this episode. Whether it be screenshotting it and put it on your social media, tagging me, whether it be that you continue the conversation and talk about it, whether it be something that inspires you to post your own content and your own version of the story that allows others to know this is a new day for you and that you're stepping out into this new place. I ask that of you. Please help me spread this message. I know that there are capable, talented, amazing people out there that are stuck in their own funk. And all they need is a little push from somebody they love and respect, and that might be you. So help yourself, help the world, and help me. Let's get this message out there in a more powerful way. Anyway, friends, I appreciate you. Again, I thank you for helping me grow this show. Media Automated, where self-improvement meets business excellence, is a labor of love for me. And as somebody that listens and watches this show, I want to thank you. I know who you are, and I know the challenges you're experiencing, And I want you to know that you're seen and you're heard and you can do it. It's just life. We just get to actually step out of the light into the discomfort, and we get to watch that expand to where we gain skill set, results, and we get that life that we want. But it starts with removing your fear of the pit. So my friends, again, my name is Bryce Prescott. Thank you for listening to Media Automated. I'll see you next week.